You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. Bitcoin, Ether, Ripple, Litecoin, and more. Cryptocurrencies and other digital assets are taking the financial world by storm. This exploding market provides everything a savvy trader needs: volatility, volume, and liquidity. Provided you know how to find it. That's where we come in. Welcome to the Crypto Rundown. Each week, we'll break down the latest trading activity, trends, and developments on everything from coins to tokens, futures, and even OTC options. If it's moving the crypto markets, then you'll find it on the Crypto Rundown. Now it's time to dive into the exploding world of cryptocurrencies and digital assets. It's time for the Crypto Rundown.
All right, everybody, that music means it is time once again for the Crypto Rundown, the program where we break down everything going on the other side of the old derivatives fence. So we're going to talk crypto, Bitcoin, ETH, all that fun stuff, the options, the futures, more. A lot going on the options front today, so we'll get to all that in a little bit. But first, we have another guest lined up. So without further ado, let's keep on rolling right on into the Crypto Hot Seat.
Forget about cold storage. It's time to turn up the heat on thought leaders from the world of cryptocurrencies and digital assets. It's time to take their place on the Crypto Hot Seat.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Crypto Hot Seat, the portion of the program where we welcome on guests from throughout the world of crypto and derivatives and indeed beyond, and proceed to pick their brains for the benefit of you, the listener. And this program has been running for pretty much exactly a year now. It's coming up on a 1-year anniversary here, so I thought what better time than to maybe check back in with some of the guests we've had on the program over the course of the past year and see how things are rolling. And next up is a guest who was on quite a while ago in the early primordial ooze days of the program. He is Zach Prince, the CEO and founder over there at BLOCKFI. Zach, welcome back to the Crypto Rundown program.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me back on.
Well, we're happy to do it. It's been quite a while since you've been on the program here. I think it was back in early February of 2019. So been pretty much almost a year since we had a chance to check in with you guys. A lot's gone on in the broad crypto space. I'm sure a lot has gone on with you guys as well. So let's catch up. But maybe first, before we do that, obviously the show has grown and evolved since the last time you were on. We've had quite a few new listeners. Maybe let's give our audience a real quick refresher and overview of what it is you guys do at BLOCKFI.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's actually changed quite a bit in the last year since we were on the show the first time. We've added multiple new products and expanded the types of things we're offering to clients on our platform pretty dramatically in a short period of time. The core business model of what BLOCKFI is doing is very similar to a bank. We have 3 products that are in market today. We offer folks the ability to get a low-cost U.S. dollar loan secured by the value of their cryptocurrency holdings. We also offer the ability to earn interest on your Bitcoin, Ether, or stablecoins that are held on our platform. And the most recent product that we launched towards the end of last year is the ability to buy and sell cryptocurrency directly on BLOCKFI. And when you combine all those things together, it's a pretty unique offering in the space. Being able to trade against an aggregated pool of institutional liquidity with no fees, and then instantly after you place those trades, being able to earn interest at the highest rates available in the market all in one place.
Well, obviously a lot has happened, and for you guys as well as for the broad crypto space, it seems like an eternity ago. Last time you were on, of course, we were talking about the doldrums of Bitcoin. We were talking about whether it could ever break out of the long malaise that was the crypto winter. We all know how that played out later on in the year. So the value of the underlying you guys are lending against has certainly changed quite a bit since the last time we've chatted. I'm sure for you guys that's been a big driver for interest, you guys over there. How is that going? Obviously, we'll get to the other products in a little bit, but the core offering is still, at least for the time being, is still the lending side of the space. When you guys came on last year, you were kind of really the only players in that space. So how are things going on the lending side? What are you seeing from a demand perspective?
Yeah, so we grew throughout 2018 despite the bear market, and we had a tremendous year of growth last year. Multiple periods of time where we were growing 1% to 2% per day. We now have just under $500 million in assets on our platform and a loan book that's in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and we're regularly hitting all-time highs in terms of the key metrics that we use to track our business. We've grown from 15 people at the beginning of last year to now over 65 people full-time at the company. We also raised additional rounds of funding and added some new, really strategic investors supporting us. And so we've seen growth across the board, and that growth is driven by maturation, not just on the retail side of the market, but also on the institutional side. So I'm sure you're covering this on other parts of the show, but greater accessibility to options and more liquidity around options. When we last talked, it was only really OTC. Now you have a couple of venues where liquid option trading is increasingly available. We've seen growth in the futures market, which is a driver of demand for institutions to borrow cryptocurrency, which is what enables us to pay interest to cryptocurrency depositors on our platform. So we had a really great 2019, and we're feeling very bullish for 2020 and think that a lot of these trends that we saw in 2019 are going to continue, and some of them probably at an accelerated pace for this year.
A lot of things have accelerated. You mentioned your fundraising. You guys were pretty aggressive on the fundraising front. We're raising about $18 million in August, I believe, and raising more before that, $50 million earlier than that. So is that going to pretty much drive a lot of the new products you're talking about, or what is all that funding going for over there, Zach?
Yeah, so it's it's being used to grow the team. It's being used to get a bigger office and just invest in product development. So when we were last on the show, we had one product. We now have three. By the end of this year, we'll have 4 products in market. We're actually launching something that'll be the first of its kind in the payment space, where folks will be able to use a credit card and earn Bitcoin rewards instead of airline miles or normal cash back. And that product is actually part of a big trend in the crypto market as well, which is retail adoption, specifically via traditional rewards or interest earning mechanisms. So Bitcoin and cryptocurrency might be really difficult for a normal person to get their head around sometimes, but everybody knows what an interest rate is, and everyone understands what it means to put your money to work and earn interest on your holdings. And everybody also understands what it means to earn cash back on your credit card or when you're shopping online. And you're seeing companies like BLOCKFI create products for the cryptocurrency sector that touch those functions that people are very familiar with from the traditional financial world. And so in addition to the increasing liquidity and adoption on the institutional side, you're seeing a lot of innovation on the retail side, and we think that those two things together paint a pretty bright picture for Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space in 2020.
Cashback card for the crypto space. I like it, Zach. You're going to give Discover a run for their money on the crypto side of the fence, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, every time I'm using my Amex now, I feel a little frustrated because I know we've got this new credit card coming out that I'm really excited to use. And we think that the value proposition of the card will obviously be very attractive to anyone that's already interested in Bitcoin, already owns some Bitcoin. But we also think it'll be a really easy on-ramp for folks who might not be comfortable taking that step of investing their own money into cryptocurrency, giving them a way to, earn it that's very low risk. And everybody's had a challenge with, airline miles or other points that they've earned on credit cards trying to spend them over Thanksgiving and not being able to or something like that. And obviously those things are regularly devalued. So earning your rewards in something like Bitcoin that, is one of the best, if not the best performing assets of the last decade is a value proposition that we think will be really attractive to a wide range of consumers.
That's true. There are no blackout dates in Bitcoin, at least none that I'm aware of right now. Well, obviously the lending side, I think, is certainly sexy for a lot of our audience, but you've added a new wrinkle in the BLOCKFI offering since the last time you and I chatted, which I know is definitely up the alley of a lot of our audience, which is BLOCKFI trading. Zach, we've been doing this show for about a year, and we've had guests in this space on for a long time before that. I've lost count of how many different trading platforms and effectively quote-unquote exchanges and other types of trading offerings we've had on this network. To call it a crowded space doesn't do it justice. This is the bloody red water side of the crypto space. So you guys clearly had the lending space, not quite to yourself maybe, but pretty close. So you had pretty blue waters there. What prompted you to dive into these bloody and hotly competitive waters on the crypto trading side of the fence, Zach?
No, really, it was feedback from our clients. So when we would, when folks would initiate a withdrawal on our platform, we would send a survey to, a small number of them, 10% or 20%, and ask, why are you withdrawing? And the number one response that we got was that people wanted to trade. This is still a volatile asset class, and for various reasons, folks want to, adjust their portfolio positioning or buy more or sell more of their crypto assets. And so it felt like a baseline feature that should be available on our platform. The other reason that we wanted to make it available is that we're going through an evolution as a company where we want to be able to offer products to folks who don't own cryptocurrency yet. If you think about what we had a year ago, the ability to get a loan, if you think about the ability to earn interest on your Bitcoin holdings, you have to already have cryptocurrency to access either of those products. And in addition to clients requesting the ability to trade, having that functionality on our platform also gives us the ability to target folks that don't own cryptocurrency yet, similar to the credit card. And we can be the place where they purchase their expansion of the addressable market that we can target from a marketing and customer acquisition perspective was another big factor in driving that decision for us to make it available. And we think that the trading space is pretty crowded. I agree with you there. We didn't build an exchange. We built a really fast and easy broker type model where you get a price. It's a really good price. You can execute against it instantly. And then immediately after you're done trading, you're going right back to earning interest on those assets. And that's where we kind of differentiate our platform versus others in the space. We think that fees on crypto trading will hopefully trend downwards, similar to what we've seen in equities, which is, effectively free trading now on most platforms. Crypto's actually gone the reverse direction. Fees for retail traders of cryptocurrency on venues like Square and Coinbase have increased recently. And so we're trying to lead the market towards that fee-free equity trading type of model that is, cheaper and better for consumers in our mind.
Well, there's a lot that goes into building a platform. Let's start with the basics. If I'm trading on BLOCKFI, what can I trade? Is it pretty much just spot Bitcoin, or what are the offerings there?
Yeah, so it's just spot today, Bitcoin, Ether, Litecoin, and you can trade all of those against each other and also against a dollar pair, which is done using stable coins today, USDC and the Gemini dollar. So we have 5 assets on the platform now that you can trade.
And of course, this is probably outside of some of the core competencies of some of your team would come from the lending side. You have to now, build up a trading platform, get a nice UI that traders like. They're pretty demanding bunch. We speak from experience. They're pretty picky on what they want. So you have to make sure that experience is up to snuff for them. The execution. These are a lot of hurdles you've put in your way, Zach. How is your team responding to these challenges so far?
Yeah, well, we're not necessarily targeting or trying to compete for the super active, semi-professional derivatives trader. We're more interested in retail and maybe higher net worth retail that might trade occasionally, but don't make their living off of trading. And so the user experience that we built accommodates that type of user. And so basically it's a 2-click process. instant execution. You see the price that you're trading against. You get a confirmation screen. You click confirm, and the trade's done, and your balances are updated back directly into your interest earning account with BLOCKFI.
You guys certainly are cranking out a lot of interesting new offerings over there, Zach. In addition to obviously the core lending offering, you have the forthcoming cashback card. We have the new, still kind of new and fresh BLOCKFI trading, which is going to, I'm sure, expand over time. But of course, before we wrap up, if you want to leave our audience with any other hints, any other teases, you already gave us quite a few. You want to leave us with any other fun nuggets of what we can expect down the road from you guys and the ever-expanding BLOCKFI team, Zach. Now is the time. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I would just say that we're going to, one of the things we've focused on a lot is client service. And I think we're probably one of the few places in crypto where there's a phone number on our website that you can call and talk to someone based in the U.S. who's really smart, not just with BLOCKFI's products, but also in general financially savvy and available to answer any questions folks have. So we're going to continue to differentiate on client service, in addition to having unique products that add value and functionality to the crypto market that didn't exist before. And as always, feel welcome to follow us on Twitter. Our company handle is @TheRealBlockFi. My handle is @BlockFiZach. And our website is blockfi.com. We love hearing from you, so don't hesitate to reach out.
There you go. The man's a pro. He already gave us all the places to find and kick the tires for yourself. BLOCKFI trading is indeed live, so you can go check it out for yourselves. Listeners, I think the cashback card coming soon, and of course the lending assets, which is becoming more and more important as we're seeing the ebbs and flows currently flowing again out there in Bitcoin land. We're north of the 8,000 level again, a level where you might want to start thinking about perhaps taking out some loans against those assets. If that's the case, check them out over there on BLOCKFI. Well, Zach, I'm glad we get you back on to do kind of a quick hit, a quick checkup. We saw a lot of headlines with you guys out there of late, so we wanted to get you on and give a little update for our audience. It has been quite a while, so we're looking forward, Zach, to seeing how the trading and the cashback card and everything else, how all this unfolds in the marketplace in the coming months.
Sounds great, Mark. Thanks again for having me back, and let's do it again before another year goes by.
Yes.
Maybe we'll get on a 6-month cadence.
Yes, there we go. I like that. 'Cause I definitely want to see, particularly now, like we mentioned, we're going to get into it in a few minutes. There's a lot of new products rolling out in the crypto space quite literally today. So I'm sure the offerings over there, even though you say you're not going for the bleeding edge on BLOCKFI, I'm sure some of these will start making their way over to your platform. And pretty soon, we'll be talking about all sorts of interesting new stuff. So check it out. BLOCKFI, BLOCKFI. Is the place to go on the social media platforms, on the web, all the other good stuff to kick the tires for yourself. But we touched on these new products many times. Now we have to keep on rolling, check them out for ourselves. It is time for the Bitcoin Breakdown.
It's time to explore the latest trading activity, trends, and developments across the world's leading crypto market. It's time for the Bitcoin Breakdown.
All right, everybody. It was fun to check in. What's going on in BLOCKFI? What a difference a year makes. So much has happened in the broad crypto markets. Of course, with them, they've expanded beyond just the core lending offering. They have a trading platform now. So if you want to use your assets for some lending, but also maybe trade with them a little bit, it might be an interesting place to check out. Cashback. Where won't they go over there in BLOCKFI land? An interesting point about the commissions as well. We've seen this race to zero, obviously, in the broad retail trading community. Hasn't really filtered over to the crypto side, so maybe this price pressure will bring that down for you guys. Meanwhile, though, let's check in on what's kicking in the largest, most active crypto marketplace. Of course, talking about Bitcoin. It's been another up week net for the old BTC. Come into Showtime, we're right around 8,100 or so. That puts us up about 575 handles from where we were this time last show. So back in rally mode, even though it's given up a little bit today, off about 16 handles. Not a big move, all things considered, in Bitcoin land. Let's check out some of the vol and the SKEW. A lot of this data coming from our friends over there in SKEW land, SKEW.com. Check them out for yourself over there. Realize vol, 30-day realize, it's up a bit. Remember, over that last 30-day frame of reference, we've seen some volatility. It's ticked up from about 52.5% up to 60%. The implied is kind of unched up slightly, up to about 59% from about 57% on last year. Remember, that's the 30-day implied out there. Looking at the overall options action, remember, it's a big week. Everyone's looking forward to today, what's going on today. And saw some interesting action out there in Deribit in the ramp-up here to the big launch on CME today. A pretty active week. Remember, we used that 30 million barometer in terms of an active day or not, and we saw multiple days beyond that over the course of the past week. On the 6th, which was our show day last week, we saw 77 million not million contracts. It's easy to get down that rabbit hole. 77 million worth of notional going up on Deribit. On the 7th, 89 million. On the 8th, 55 million. And on the 9th, 60 million. So most of the days last week over that 30 million threshold, which is good to see. We like to see a little more action out there on the option side of the fence because it's in the name, after all. Options Insider. Let's go on to what was actually printed out there over there on Deribit. Big print, actually a pretty sizable one, too. Usually we're talking 200, 250 contracts. That's kind of a big print out in Bitcoin options land, at least on Deribit. This past week saw an 829 lot. Interesting number. 829 lot of the Jan 82 half calls. Paper selling those for, or looks like when Bitcoin was around 79.01. The price of 0.014 Bitcoin. Love that quoting in fractions of Bitcoin. And a vol of 51%, if you're curious about such things, listeners. So maybe it's like a little bit of an override here, which is pretty close to the fire, but these are going out. They got a few weeks still, so they got some time on these Jans going out here. 82 half, so pretty close override here. It's kind of similar to what we see in the broad equity option space, a little more overriding call action. Kind of interesting to see that trickling in to the Bitcoin option space as well. Then the next biggest prints were 200 lots. That's more in line with what we usually see of the 7,500 puts going up on the 7th. By the way, the other print went up on the 9th of January. And a 200 lot of the March 9,000 calls going up on the 10th. Looks like both of those, kind of hard to tell where those were going up in terms of side of the market action. But the puts went up when the Bitcoin was 83.68 and the calls went up when Bitcoin was 8,095. So maybe some more overriding. Can't imagine you getting a lot here. 0.0906 is what you got for the 9,000 calls out there in March. All this action. Let's look at some SKEW out here. The 1 month SKEW is minus 3.25, so it's a little bit shy of the average, showing a little bit of bias to the puts. 3 month SKEW getting a little bit farther out there. It's down to about minus 8%. That's a little bit more biased towards the downside out there. Again, check out. I'd encourage you SKEW for yourself so you can see SKEW.com. You can see the SKEW numbers and everything else, but you can see how the averages line up and all the other fun stuff going on out there in SKEW land. Call the put down quite a bit, down to 56% from 66%. Last show, open interest, though, ticking up quite a bit, actually, up about 100 million. It was 315 million last show, 415 million on Deribit right now. Ledger X up to about 35 million from 29 million. So some growth. Obviously, Dees came off the board recently, and now these new months are starting to spool up and start to take over there, and not quite matching what Dees had, but still quite a bit open. The big contract month out there right now is March, with about 18,700 contracts. That's combined across Deribit and LedgerX. So nearly 19,000 contracts. March, number one, followed by the end of Jan contracts, which are about 13,000. And this week has about 10,000 contracts open as well, so expiring this week. So interesting to see where the Dees liquidity has gone. Now let's get out to what the big story of the day is. Actually some hubbub coming off already. Bloomberg putting out a story everyone's been talking about called High Anticipation for CME Bitcoin options. If you've been listening to this show, this network for the past couple of years, we've been anticipating these for quite a while. I've been bugging CME all the time. When we're going to see these, I bugged SIBO when they had them as well. Those are no longer listed, the futures, so no options forthcoming from them. But CME finally getting it into gear. 2 years, almost 2 years and a month from when they launched the futures. And saw them finally going live today. They were talking over there on Bloomberg. A bit of a ramp up in the futures volume. Leading into that, they term that as indicating some strong interest for the options. And that's pretty much what we've been seeing out here as well, at least on the future side. We'll get to the options in a second. A pretty active week leading up to this options launch. You saw the OI hitting a 7-month high recently. Monday was kind of the light day of the week, 6,600. Then it took off from there. Tuesday, 12,000. Wednesday, 17,000. Thursday, actually, I take it back. Thursday was a light day, 10,500. And then Friday, 13,500. So a pretty active week. Usually out there these days, it's 4,000 or 5,000 to 6,000, somewhere in that range. So most of these days are well north of that, all leading up to the big launch today. And then so far, it's been kind of interesting to see how the options are faring. We thought we'd see a lot of numbers coming out of CME and a lot of data about the options volume. And yet, so far, that's not the case. In fact, this led to a little bit of a kerfuffle over there on the old Twitters, as people saying, hey, where's the volume? Why no volume? Why no volume? Part of that is, of course, I think CME put out some links to some circulars that only show volume from Friday, which, of course, there was no volume. So effectively for CME, what they're showing right now, they're disseminating zero volume on the options. And so that's causing a lot of consternation with the folks out there who keep saying, where's the volume? Where's the volume? So yeah, no updates from them, which is kind of strange. I have to anticipate that there are some. We've tried digging in some other platforms. Can't really get a hard and fast number yet on how these things are traded. We're going to get Tim McCourt on the network pretty soon as well. Hopefully, maybe in this week on TWIFO, if not coming up soon. We'll get certainly a hard and fast number out of him, but we'll get that before. Maybe even by the time, we'll definitely have it by the time of TWIFO later this week, and hopefully even by tomorrow, we'll see some concrete numbers, because right now I'm not sure if it's a glitch or what's going on up there, but so far they're showing a big goose egg on the options volume side. And given the fact we saw so many futures printing last week, I have a hard time believing zero options contracts have hit the tape. But so far, that's what's being disseminated out there, so we'll have to wait and see. Apparently, let's head on over to the back side of the fence as well. Our old friend, the BAKKT volume bot, showing a fairly light day on the Bitcoin futures over there, about 1,200 going on. They're expecting about 1,700 on their proprietary anticipation algorithm for the BAKKT futures. By the way, a lot of you have asked us about the BAKKT options. That Bloomberg article kind of touched on it as well. They pretty much, as they term it, they said the volumes and open interest have been rather small. That's pretty much backs up what we've been saying here for a while. That's another one where it's been kind of hard to find the numbers overall on those options. So when you can't find them, usually that's a sign things aren't lighting it up. That could be the case on CME as well, but it seems like it's probably just a little bit of delayed data making its way out to the marketplace. So we're going to keep an eye on that, and hopefully have, maybe by the end of the show, we'll have some concrete numbers for you. I don't think it's going to happen that quick, but hopefully we could, because this is the moment everyone's been waiting for a couple of years. If you want something more broader beyond just what's listed here in the U.S., the Binance-backed platform FTX also announced on Sunday they had launched their own Bitcoin options contracts. Of course, Binance here in the U.S. can't touch that stuff, so not really that useful for our audience, but still they're claiming it did $1 million worth of notional in the first couple of hours out there. So they're putting out some numbers at least. CME, unlike when they put out their numbers, will actually give us contracts, which is nice. Much more useful than these ridiculous notionals everyone throws around in the crypto space. But c'est la vie. So we have to kind of play wait and see a little bit to see what the numbers are going to be for all things Bitcoin, but a lot to keep an eye on as we keep on rolling into the altcoin universe.
It's time to move beyond Bitcoin and find out what's moving the rest of the crypto marketplace. It's time to boldly venture into the altcoin universe.
All right, everybody, welcome to the altcoin universe. You know, we haven't checked in on the old coin market cap in a while because it hadn't really moved that much and it wasn't that exciting of a story to highlight week to week, but that's certainly changed since the last time we checked in. And usually we had our pretty consensus top five. Bitcoin, obviously, number one, and then there was ETH and XRP and Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash somewhere in the rest of that top five. And that's changed since the last time we checked in. It's a little bit of a shakeup in the old top 10 of the market cap. Let's break down how it's looking right now. Bitcoin still obviously number one, 147, almost 148 billion. Remember, take those overall values with a big grain of salt. Another reason why we stop talking about them all the time. Those numbers are a little bit dubious, but I think the percentages in terms of and where they rank on market cap are usually a little bit more reliable. ETH number two, still closing in on 16 billion. Number three, good old XRP. Dumping concerns, be damned. People still want a little bit of XRP, 9.2 billion. Bitcoin Cash number four with about almost 5 billion. And then Tether breaking into the top five there with about 4.6 million. Tether's been an interesting one. It's been linked to a lot of controversial stories. Remember, people accused it of that in that big run up to 20,000. People accused people of using Tether as a way to manipulate Bitcoin to get to that price level. So there's been a lot of interesting headlines about Tether over the years. But breaking into the top five right now with about 4.6 million. Pushing Litecoin down to number six with about 3.2 billion. Then we've got Bitcoin SV actually with about almost a little less than that, about 3.1 billion. And then EOS, good old EOS, a little bit shy of 3 billion. Then Binance Coin number 9, ticking up the charts there as well, about 2.3 billion. Right out the top 10, good old Monero. Don't talk about them too often, but they're at about exactly $1 billion. So a nice little shakeup, mostly Litecoin kind of coming off. Remember, he saw the big run up leading into the halving, and then it kind of just turned right around the other way and said goodbye top 5, and it's kind of hanging out, still in the top 10, but it's lost a lot of its luster. Let's see what else is going on out there. Obviously, ETH, number 2 overall market cap, number 2 in your hearts on the derivative side as well. ETH up a little over $2 from last show, about 2.25 or so. So a decent week for ETH, all things considered. Let's look at some of the metrics out here. Again, courtesy of our friends over there in SKEW land. 30-day realized up to 69% from a 58%. 30-day implied, almost literally unched. It's at about 71% still from where it was last week. So that's kind of interesting. Again, reflects some of the lighter volume we see on ETH options than we do on products like Bitcoin options. Call to put, though, up quite a bit, up to 83% from 55%. Maybe some of the reason why we're seeing these weird numbers here is because of the OI. Looking at the OI is kind of fallen off a cliff. Obviously, a lot of it was in December. Remember, we said before, in some weird strikes, like 600. So that's, in case you're wondering right now, ETH is at 143. So 600 was far and away a little out of the money. And so there was some weird aggregation on the 600 strike. I had speculated in the past that was probably some legacy paper. It seems like most of that went the way of the dodo when DEES went off the board, because now the OI is down to 19 million from 37.6 million recently out there. So a lot of those contracts coming off the board. And maybe that's why we're seeing such weird changes in the call to put and everything else. Worth noting, a more reasonable strike, the 160 strike, is now the overall volume leader, as opposed to formerly the D600 strike. And March is where the most OI is aggregated now, with about 58,000 contracts out there. Ripple down a little bit from last show as well, down about 0.06. There's still been these headlines. The CEO of Ripple coming out recently about all these Bitcoin and dumping allegations. He says we can't control XRP price any more than Bitcoin whales. So kind of lumping in the whales that people have accused of manipulating Bitcoin, lumping them in on XRP as well. He says the company does not want to dump its associated XRP cryptocurrency, despite the fact that they have been selling huge amounts of it. They had an interview, looks like, with CNN. He said, Ripple, he says, we can't control the price of XRP. We're the largest owner, so we have a large vested interest in this ecosystem and the keeping it stable. And so crushing it doesn't really help our means. So the accusations of us dumping, that's not in our best interest to do. We would never do that. In fact, we've taken steps to lock up most of the XRP we own in escrows so we can't touch it. So that's interesting. A lot of people have been kind of hurling these accusations of dumping. That's kind of weighed on the price of XRP of late. Looks like at the start of 2020, they released XRP worth about $200,000, whopping $200,000 from escrow. They claim that was part of a planned operation. It hit 2-year lows in December, 20 cents XRP. Of course, they point out in this article here the much ballyhooed high of around 340. Oh, how long ago that seems. And have seen some interesting moves, but they're claiming at least that they're not out there doing dumping. Of course, if they were, you wouldn't expect them to admit it either, but he does have a point. They do own a lot of it, so dumping it not necessarily in their best interest. But that's been weighing on XRP of late. Litecoin, like I mentioned, out of the top 5 in the altcoin universe these days, but has a good run, up about 4.5 handles from where it was this time last show, hovering right around now. Where are we here? About 40. It was in the 40s, about 45 or so right now. It's hard to find now just because it's out the top 5 on so many platforms. There it is, 49.5 right there. So a good week for Litecoin, not enough to catapult it back into the top 5. Bitcoin Cash are having a great week, up 30 handles, now up to 264. It's a huge move just in the past couple of weeks out there in Bitcoin Cash land. All right, let's keep on rolling. You guys have a lot of options on the brain. So without further ado, let's get to some of your crypto questions.
You've got questions about crypto. Who doesn't? It's time to find out the answers to your crypto questions.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Crypto Questions, a portion of the show where you guys take the reins with your questions, your comments, your insights, your pearls of wisdom. Seems like everybody has one thing on the brain these days, and that's the CME options. Ledge Doc, asking, what's up with the CME Bitcoin options? No volume? Others have chiming in similar things. Bitcoin lawyers, when's the volume? Grain of Salt saying, options are live and volume is 0. So a lot of people are chiming in on the same front. Also, let's have a related question. We'll lump this in here from Jack as well. He wants to know, do you think CME options will be a hit? Well, interesting stuff. We'll start with the volume stuff first. I think they're linking to an old volume page. For some reason, they haven't updated. It could be because they haven't seen the numbers that they perhaps anticipated, but there were a ton of futures trading last week. That has to lead into, you would think, some interest in the options. So I'm more inclined to think it's perhaps a bit of a technical error. I'm not seeing that data disseminated to other platforms either, which is a little bit concerning, but hopefully we'll see soon whether there was some actual material volume to go along with all this run-up to interest that we've seen for quite some time. So I think all these people are concerned about no volume right now. I think we're going to see that change hopefully soon. And then we'll have some nice, solid numbers to sink our teeth into. Whether I agree with Jack, I think CME options will be a hit. Well, certainly we hope so. We hope all these products, like I said before, it doesn't matter, Deribit, ICE, CME, we hope they all resonate with you guys, because that gives us more to talk about here on the show and more for you guys to trade out there, and that helps everybody. So we want all these things to be successful, and it certainly seemed anecdotally leading up to the launch, from hearing from you guys, from looking at the actual volume numbers of the underlying itself, the Bitcoin futures, there were a lot of indicators that these were going to do pretty well out of the gate. So far, again, we have no confirmation of that, so I can't say for certain. But I do think, given the fact that the futures were kind of a surprising hit, they took off despite the fact that the SIBO contract was a little bit smaller, a little bit easier for a lot of the retail crowd to wrap their heads around. Clearly, the institutional crowd liked the 5X coin. And so clearly, they're the ones who are looking to sling the options, you would think. So hopefully, they will certainly come in and make this product at least a decent, let's call it a double out there. We need something. We need something here at the end of the day in the U.S. that is lit, that is listed, it's on an exchange people have heard of, that is regulated, that has clearing behind it. So you know these things aren't going to go away tomorrow. You don't have to tunnel in with a V. We talked about the Binance one a little while ago. You have to freaking tunnel in with a VPN and violate EULAs. It's not a recommendable experience for anyone here in the U.S. I know overseas, different story. For here in the U.S., which is the lion's share of the trading audience, and certainly our audience, you guys want a product you can trade. And that's reliable, don't have the counterparty risk, has some regulation backing it up. All these things the CME contract is the answer to. And, of course, what we have on ICE over there as well. So hopefully these listed products start generating some traction. And maybe, who knows, maybe after time, maybe they'll need to make a mini out there, a one coin, so they can have a one-to-one type thing, and maybe that'll generate some traction. Who knows? But either way, these listed products need to really resonate. So in order for the crypto derivative space as a whole to really grow and take that next step, Zach was just talking at the top of the show about these new products coming online, hopefully going to drive a lot more interest in the space, and certainly their products as well, the lending and everything else. It requires these types of large, substantial products to really resonate with the audience. So hopefully, Jack, hopefully the answer is yes. Hopefully these products resonate and people start trading them. And as a whole, we start seeing maybe the regulators here in the U.S. loosen up a little bit, start approving more of these things. We see more volume starting to aggregate on venues that U.S. customers can actually access without jumping through a lot of legal and regulatory and technology hoops. There's a lot of reasons why these products being a success is good for the ecosystem overall, regardless of what you think about large corporations in the U.S. putting these things out. I know a lot of people in the crypto space have issues with that, but if you want to see these products really resonate in the U.S., at the end of the day, it has to be a success on those platforms. So hopefully, Jack, hopefully the answer is yes. All right, listeners, unfortunately, that music means we come to the end of another fun little journey through the world of all things crypto. Again, I want to thank Zach for joining me from BlockFi. Check them out, particularly their new BlockFi trading. I haven't kicked the tires over there myself. I'd be curious, any of you guys who've tried it. Remember, he said it's not really for you super bleeding edge hardcores yet, but if you have some assets you want to get some lending action against, put them to work as opposed to just sitting there in your crypto account elsewhere, that might be a good place to start. And then you can do some basic trading against it. It's better than nothing. So certainly, if you want to loosen up some assets, get some more value out of them, and also trade with them, might be an interesting place to check out BlockFi, BLOCKFI. I want to thank them for joining us in the old hot seat today. And, of course, I want to thank all of you out there for downloading, streaming, subscribing, for sending in your questions. Keep them coming. Yeah, hopefully, by the next time we all gather here together, we will have some concrete data on what the heck is happening with these CME Bitcoin options. If you had told me a week ago we would have zero interest and zero data right now, I would have been surprised. So hopefully it's just a glitch, and we're going to see some interest in these things going forward. We'll certainly get the folks from CME and others on to speak about exactly what they're seeing out there in the marketplace, hopefully fairly soon. So look forward to that, and we'll see you back here later this week for all of our regular schedule of shows. Tons of stuff. You got OPR, you got TWIFO, you got Option Block, you got Vol Views, a lot of fun stuff, interviews. You got another crypto interview coming up tomorrow. You guys check out pretty soon as well. So a lot of fun stuff coming up for you guys on the network throughout the week. And, of course, we'll be back here next week for more of the Crypto Rundown.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.